Hey, how's it going everybody? Brad the Guitologist here. In this video I'm going to open a few things here. This was sent to me by Kristen, who is a watcher to the channel. She actually bought a Harmony amplifier from me a while back, and she changed speakers in the thing, and she said she didn't really have a use for this and she'll probably never reinstall it. But this is the speaker that she took out of that amp, and so she sent it back to me just in case I get another similar amplifier that I can slap a speaker into. So I thought that was very thoughtful of her. Thank you very much, Kristen. I appreciate it, and thanks for being a loyal watcher to the channel for quite a long time now. This is from Brian Bomarito. Oh, look at there. Hashtag by Fox Amor and Pepper Coyote, aka Foxes and Peppers. Cool. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Let's see. Looks like we've got a bunch more. Oh yeah, that's right. He said he was sending me some feather blades. These are supposed to be the best blades in the business. As you guys know, I made a video about this a while back because I'm really into things of high quality. And I have kind of found that the junky ass razors that you get, you know, that just the cheap, crappy disposable razors are not worth a shit. And I made a video about this a while back, just showing the benefits of, you know, these old school safety razors. He sent me a real nice feather also. Look at this. Can you even see this? Sorry about the lighting. There we go. Feather, all stainless razor, and man, this thing is nice. Because usually these twist at the bottom, but this one does something different. So how does it work? Okay, it looks like it twists here at the top, and okay, so the thing comes apart like this. And I presume they did this to get around patent issues so they didn't have to pay a license fee. But I guess the other good thing about that is kind of conforms to the blade in a slightly different way. So that would be interesting to see how that shaves. Very cool, man. This thing feels really nice. It's got good weight to it, good balance. Yeah, I can't wait to try that out. Thank you. Appreciate that, Brian. And the CD too, and here's another razor it looks like also. Oh wow, look at that. This one is short and fat. I'm guessing this one is also a feather because this has a very similar grip to the feather that we just looked at. And it comes off in the same way. Yeah, man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I've got a really good collection of these razors going now, so that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. And also I can't wait to try out these feather blades. Those things are supposed to be, those have gotten like the best reviews of any that I've read about, it seems. Everybody just raves about the feathers, so I can't wait to try some of the feathers. It looks like we got some Gillettes in here and some other things too, so this will give me a chance to try out some different stuff. So that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. There's a Wilkinson. There's some, what is this? Voskod. That's probably Russian, I guess. Of course, you know, I'm trying to pretend that I can't read Russian, but you guys know that I'm true blue Russian spy up in here. These are from Pakistan. Treat. Cool, man. This is pretty awesome. Some Gillettes. 7 o'clock. Cool. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packs of unopened feathers. So that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a note with this. It says, Brad, a little something for you as a get well soon type gift. Included our feather ASD2. So that is this one, ASD2. And then we have a Sterling Soap Company open comb. That's what this is. So this is not a feather after all. It's a Sterling Soap Company. Copy of Hashtag, an album by my friend's band. You are welcome to play some of the music off the album without fear of copyright strike. Love your videos and your shredding. I would love to hear a little War Pigs shredding one day. Okay, maybe we'll do that. Thank you so much, Brian, man. I really appreciate all that. That's really awesome of you. Okay, this last item comes to us courtesy of the same gentleman who sent me that Ampex reel-to-reel tape machine not all that long ago, John Bramfeld. But the note he says here, it says, "Dear Brad, we're moving out of our house of 28 years here in Champaign and resettling in Valparaiso, Indiana. Our house has a huge library that over the years I have filled with at least 2,000 books and other written materials. Wow. Our new house is very nice, but not surprisingly has nowhere to put all the books. That's sad. Some stuff will get thrown away, but I thought you might enjoy this pamphlet from 1937 announcing the new radios and electronic equipment for 1938. Great bathroom reading. P.S. Once again, it's you or the trash." Man, John, that's super cool, and you guys have got to check this out. This is really awesome. We'll go through this thing and check it out. I'll just flip through the whole thing for you. So if you want, you'll be able to pause it and check things out in detail. Check out that radio. It's in the shape of a globe, called the Globetrotter. How cool is that? Actually, contrary to what John said, it looks like this is 1936, not 1937, when this was published. We can see there, September 1936. Or I don't know, maybe this is out of a different thing, because this says like page 48 and 49, so maybe these first couple pages are reprinted from something else. Check this out. How awesome is that? Check out that magic eye right there. What is that? It's like a sleeping lion with a magic eye. It sits on top of radios that don't already have a magic eye. That's pretty snazzy of an add-on. FilterCon, what the hell's that? A mainline noise filter designed for connection between mainline fuse plug and the individual circuit fuse plugs. $5. What's this thing? Impedance matching transformer for all wave antennas. Oh, this must be the FilterCon thing right here, I guess. Or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's that transformer. No, it's a condenser. So that's like a big capacitor, right? No, that's a propeller right there. What is that? Is that a windmill? Centrifugal air brake governor and balancer designed for low-speed charging. Air-cooled, grease-sealed ball bearings, front-end commutator, easy access to brushes, collector ring of the same design used on 32-volt units. So that, yeah, that's a charging windmill. Check that out. In 1936, charging windmill for your radio. Yeah, this is the filter con thing right here. So that's your line noise filter. It's basically, I guess it's like a big filtering capacitor for the house. That's pretty cool. What's this? Let's see. This is some book of tricks of the trade. Saves time for troubleshooting. I could probably use that. Cool. Here's some more components. Interesting stuff. Inlatina. What in the hell is an inlatina? Inlaid manufacturing as an auto radio antenna designed for use beneath a car. Okay, oh, so it like spans the whole underneath of a car. Jeez. It's for when you really, really want to hear your Bruno Mars. Or your Jay-Z. Pioneer Gen E Motor Corp. Gasoline wind-driven generators, Genamotors, Dynamotors, converters. I can't tell what those are. There's another generator. Yeah, this was big business during this time because there were so many people who lived in rural areas, man. Batteries, generators, even that windmill. Things like this where you had to have them if you wanted to be connected to the outside world. You know, you had to have this kind of stuff. And this is at a time too when a lot of people still didn't really have a car. American Tel and Radio Company. What is that? Yes, it looks like a battery. Or some kind of switch. Power supply. Oh, it's a battery charger. Willard Storage Battery Company. Exide. This is pretty cool. Look at that. Ruby fluid soldering paste. That's kind of like the stuff I've got here. This is probably about as old. Northeast Pennsylvania. What is this? This is Burnley Battery and Manufacturing Corp. Huh. Well, that's interesting. It's interesting that this flux will be on the same page as all these batteries. And that this other stuff was made by same company that did batteries. That's weird. New parts. Those are vibrators. And no, that's not the kind of stuff that makes your wife happy. Those are vibrators for keeping like car radios going. Back in the day, you needed a way to convert the DC from your car battery, or even batteries out on the farm, into AC that would run like an AC radio. And that's how that is done with vibrators. I have a video where I tore apart a vibrator once and showed kind of how it worked. I mean, I really didn't even know myself at the time, so I was kind of just screwing around with it. But you'll get an idea. I'll link it in a card or something up here if you want to go check that out, if you're interested in how vibrators worked. That's a pretty awesome looking speaker right there. Continental carbon resistors, 1000 volt, double ceramics, 1000 volt. Interesting. Here's a speaker company I don't think I've ever heard of. Permaflux. Continental Motors Corporation. Permanent magnet dynamic speakers. Now, permanent magnet speakers were not all that common in the 1930s. Usually they were electrodynamic that early. But permanent magnet speakers were made, and this is one example, I guess, of a company that was making some. What do we have here? Non-inductive, non-capacitive plaque resistors. Huh. The hell is that? 100 watt, 40 watt, and 20 watt types also available. Inductance, it's an inductor then. At frequencies up to 100 kilocycles. Distributed capacity up to 5 megacycles are negligible. Useful for dummy antenna work and other applications. Well, here's a nice big Admiral ad. That looks pretty awesome. I'll tell you what, man, you don't get anything made even close to this well anymore. You just don't. If you got something with that kind of burl on, I mean, just the wood, just the burl veneer that they used and they had access to for this stuff back in the day. I mean, that stuff is prohibitively expensive. Just the burl, you wouldn't be able to find it. So I mean, you know, if you're a furniture restorer, or even if you build guitars, I mean, could you imagine finding something like this that was, you know, a basket case, or it didn't have the radio or something in it, but you just got the cabinet, and then you had this big section right here where you could just, like, you know, cut it out and maybe even make a guitar out of it with the, you know, with the top. Of course it's a veneer, but who cares if you're just, you know. What do we have here? Roto Ranger. Oh, okay, that's a tube. These are all tube testers. There's a Weston model 771, 772. Here's a Weber. This is one of the big, I guess, like grocery store ones, or would have been drugstore or whatever. That looks pretty awesome. Here's a Kinrad ad. An interesting thing about Kinrad. Kinrad stands for Kentucky Radio, and they had a factory in Owensboro, Kentucky. I have a, see, it says even Owensboro here. I have some interviews from a guy who worked at the Kinrad factory, stashed away on my computer. I called him and was in contact with him, and he was basically the local historian from Owensboro who was in charge of kind of keeping all of the old Kinrad stuff alive. As a matter of fact, the museum from down in Owensboro has this guy basically on speed dial when they want to know something about Kinrad, and I think they were going to put together a museum display kind of commemorating the Kinrad factory. And Kinrad was bought out by GE, and there's a whole kind of salacious story about how that all occurred and stuff, and it's really interesting stuff, and I'm probably going to compile that into some kind of short documentary or something sometime. Throw in some interviews with that guy, parts of it at least, and try to edit it down a little bit. And I've got also some other interviews with some ladies who worked at the Kinrad factory even back during the war era and everything, and that should be some interesting stuff. If I can ever find the time to kind of compile that together, I may do that and do a short documentary about that, but it should be kind of interesting. But here's an ad that I have not seen before, so this was cool to get this. Son, if they're Kinrad all metal tubes, I know they're good. Kinrad is one of the oldest and best established radio tube manufacturers. People know and have confidence in the name Kinrad. Kinrad was one of the first in the all metal tube field. Longer experience, finest engineering talent, precise manufacturing methods give Kinrad all metal tubes unsurpassed quality. Thus the prestige of the Kinrad name and the dependability of the Kinrad all metal tubes offer dealers a money-making combination. Write us for information about making money the Kinrad way. The reason it was Kinrad Tube and Lamp Corporation. They actually changed their name a couple of different times. They also manufactured incandescent electric lamps, and according to some of my research, they also were responsible for lighting some of the first night baseball games. Or their lights were in, I think, the first night baseball game. So that's a pretty cool bit of Kinrad trivia. As a matter of fact, this is 1936. The year after this, another interesting story about Kinrad and the local history of Owensboro, the Owensboro area, and actually the entire Ohio Valley area. In 1937, there was a major flood, and I mean major. The entire Ohio Valley, I think on down to the Mississippi, was flooded. It was like 100-year or 200-year flood or something. I mean, it was entire swathes of land were underwater. The town where I grew up, Sturgis, Kentucky, was completely underwater. You could see pictures from the time period where all you could see is rooftops, and that's all there was. People had to get around in boats for the longest time. And still to this day, you can see the vestiges of that flood in all the flood walls around many of the towns. As you drive through them, they have big walls built up around the entire town with, and here in Louisville as well, you can go down to the riverfront and see the flood walls that they built after the disastrous 1937 flood. But the reason I bring that up is Kinrad, they were responsible for doing a lot of humanitarian efforts during and after the flood, providing people with shelters, helping people get around, providing people, I believe, with things like sandbags and just anything that they could help provide. Kinrad was, I read an article about this, a local historian, where they were heavily involved in the area during the recovery. So that's just something even to this day, that's something that companies do. You see these companies send water bottle bottled water to flooded areas and anything else that, you know, they might need. Soccer balls for kids, and, you know, people try to pitch in and we help our own, and that's something that was going on back then too. But interesting thing, because this is right before that flood, so. Oh, here we go. Let's see, this was the Supreme up here. And that looks like a really cool tester. Analyzers and oscillographs. Speaking of which, that kind of looks like a scope right there. Yeah, that's what that's got to be. That looks like a parking meter. So does that. What is this? Claubringle Company. Claubringle. Well, that looks pretty awesome. I've never seen one of those before. Jackson. Haven't seen one of those before either. Superior. Yeah, man. You know, this is a really cool book. This is something you could definitely sit on the toilet and have a nice long shit and just read this whole thing. Let's see. Arcturus Glass G Coronet. The perfected metal radio tubes. Arcturus. I don't know if I have any of those in my collection. I've got a lot of old tubes, but I don't recall seeing any Arcturus. These are from New Jersey. Man, a lot of stuff was made in New Jersey, man. A lot of stuff in the Midwest and a lot of stuff in New Jersey. New Jersey was it must have been really booming with activity back in the day. Continental insulated carbon resistors withstand 500% overload. Okay. Probably not for very long. You get a free cabinet. Oh, there's more of those things. Filter cons. Yeah, that's got to be what that is. That's like big filter capacitors for your entire house. You know how in power supplies you have filter capacitors that go basically from the hot to ground. That's what that looks like to me. Is a capacitor for the house or for the main line or something. Let's see, this is 1936. Is this during this time? I wonder if some houses still were on DC instead of AC. I can't remember when that all went down. I think that was the 19-teens. By the teens, that was kind of over with. That didn't go on as late as the 30s, I'm pretty sure. Because because in the 30s you had the TVA and everything. So that was definitely all AC, I believe, by this time, pretty much. You might have had a few DC holdouts, but I'm sure they were very few. That's a cool looking microphone. Look at that. It's a crystal mic. But it's suspended in a weird looking box. Webster Chicago. Here's some early Webster Chicago stuff. Model 4P60. What is that? A 60 watt amp. $102 in 1936. Man, that's a lot of money. Clarion amplifiers. Wow, look at that. There's an early Tweed right there. Look at that thing. Clarion. There's an early bullet microphone. Transducer Corp. It doesn't get much more generic than that as far as a company name. Transducer Corp. Electrodynamic microphone. Wow. Another generator company, Iron Horse Generators. A parabolic deflector. Was it that thing right there? Is that it? Baffles for sound equipment speakers. I wonder if you just mount a speaker near the back there and it focuses the sound. Operadio. Operadio Manufacturing Corp. What is that? Oh, that's like a console for a radio station. Check that out. I wonder how many of those are still in existence. Probably not many. Somebody look that up and drop some links down in the description or down in the drop some links down there somewhere, somebody. Operadio. Wow. I wonder if that was for the home or radio station. Surely that was for a radio station. I can't imagine who would need that in the home. It's a phonograph arm. RCA stuff. That looks pretty awesome. Amperite velocity microphone. Wow. There's another Utah Speakers ad. It's interesting. I wonder why the company located in Chicago was named Utah. Well, this one on this page jumps out at me. It's another Operadio thingamajig. That is an outdoor mounted speaker, it looks like. It mounts on a side wall. I guess it wouldn't have to be outdoor, but it's mounted on a side wall. More microphones. There's an astatic microphone. Astatic are kind of more well known for their cartridges for phonographs. Bell phone. Here's a Triad. Pretty interesting too. I've never heard of that company either. So many of these companies, man, are just lost to the pages of history. United Sound Engineering Company. Use. The Magic Rod. The Magic Rod. Sensational demand for the Portomatic. I mean, they call these things portable, but if you lift up something like this from this kind of time period, I mean, it probably weighs 40 pounds. Illustravox. That's a badass name. Illustravox. Redolek. Wow. I've heard of Fairchild, but I don't think I've heard of any of the other names on this page. And Triad, I know what Triads are. Or well, in terms of, I know what, not necessarily tubes. I didn't know they made tubes. That is the same company, Triad Manufacturing Company. I had no idea they made tubes. Never heard of them either. What is that? Pacent or Passant Engineering Corp. Velotron, I've heard of that name. That looks pretty cool. Hermetically sealed transformers. What do we got here? Oh, here we're getting into like washers and dryers and stuff even. Refrigerators. There's a Whirlpool. Refrigerator, Westinghouse. What is this one? A Leonard? Leonard refrigerators. Evanston, Illinois. I've driven through there. I've been to Evanston. Here's your rider's manuals. I've got a bunch of those out in the garage. Here's your Domino Bakelite molded capacitors. You see those in radios a lot. Old ones. Very old ones. Solar Manufacturing Corp. I like this one. Mr. Serviceman, can you fix my radio? Yeah, Chalk this up to things you couldn't get away with today, sadly. See, because she looks like she needs her radio fixed. Servicemen are telling their customers to put in Sylvania tubes. Competition in this business is tough. The customer must be pleased. That's why I always tell my customers to stick to Sylvania. I've never had a kickback yet. Universal microphone. That's a cool looking mic. I wonder if there's any of those on eBay right now. Universal microphones. I hope you guys are actually going out and seeing if some of this stuff is still around. Go look on eBay and Google it or something. Yeah, I bet generators was a profitable business, man. You just load some of these up in your old Chevy or something and just take to the back roads and probably just sell the shit out of these all day to farmers. I bet you really could. But yeah, man, so cool. Thanks again, John, for sending this. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, this little trip down memory lane that none of us, I'm sure, even remember because we weren't alive. But yeah, man, history is a really a trip sometimes. It causes you to think more critically about the modern world when you look through something like this. You know, just imagining how things must have been, imagine how much more simply, you know, people lived. You know, nowadays we have this thing and we can go on this and we can look at pretty much anything that ever was, is, and will be within 30 seconds. And back then, you know, you had to have a generator just so you could listen to the outside world. So and probably an elaborate antenna system to boot. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this as much as I did. For now, y'all take care.